Hello, welcome to Geek and Biscuits again. I'm your host, Dick Jones, joined by your co-host, the old man, otherwise known as Grant and Dan.
Dick, you're fired.
So, speaking of you're fired, no, we won't do that. None of us are fired, that's all right. So, as people should know, but hopefully by clicking, by the title, by the image, we're doing Robocop today.
We are. We're doing Robocop 1987.
Yes, so if anyone is worried, we are doing the 1987 version, not the 2014 version.
It
was 2014, weren't it?
If that happened, I don't know. It may have happened. I've erased it from my memory.
Well, there were rumours, and I heard Samuel L. Jackson was cast, but
as Terry Wogan.
Yes, he was. Yes, and I can't believe Terry Wogan is Robocop. So, all kidding aside, the 1987, it's not even a cult classic, it's just, I would say, classic. Yeah.
It's a classic. It is a classic.
Yeah. It started a toy line. Well, it just became a franchise. Sequels, remakes, comics, toy lines, crossovers.
So, direct-to-video, kids cartoon series, pinball machines, games, Terminator versus Robocop. Big explosion of Robo.
So, you would have been a child when Robocop came out. I definitely would have been a child when Robocop came out. So, what was your introduction to Robocop?
I honestly think, and we spoke about this before, and I'll just hit I'm running with this one, was back in the late 80s, early 90s, ITV, which is like the third channel in the UK for anyone who's watching anywhere else, up to the point there was only 4 channels. I think there were only 4 channels. Late 90s, I think.
I believe you're right.
So ITV was the only source of entertainment for films on a Saturday night, and they used to be sponsored by Diet Coke. But obviously, Diet Coke being a family brand, any film that they put on there, they used to edit the crap out of. Did I say crap? I meant crud. Sorry.
I was just going to censor you myself. Well done, sir.
So I think it was on they used to start them at like 7, half 7, and sort of like easing the beginning of a film pre-watershed. And if it made it to post-watershed, then they had the little swear words in. After that, the problem with Robocop is because obviously we'll assume people have seen it if they're coming to us to listen to it. We'll assume people have seen it.
Yeah, I think 1987 is a little bit. Well, it's just too much time's passed to put a spoiler tag on, surely.
You couldn't put Murphy's death scene in a film. Well, the family is supposed to be sat around, at 7:30 in an evening. So the editor, the crap out of it. So my first introduction was sitting down with the family watching Robocop, and it was only sort of later on. I saw it either post-watershed or Channel 4 got hold of it. Channel 4 show anything, which was great. But you realise just how much they'd messed with it. It was criminal what they did to it. Most of the people didn't die in it. Emil doesn't get driven through.
Wow.
He barely turns into a toxic monster. But the swearing, that was the big takeaway from it. There was, I was told this before in conversations at home and stuff like that. Obviously, they try to replace the word "fuck" was a big no-no.
Yeah,
I think you could probably get away before 9 o'clock with the odd like one shit and a bitch, and that was about it. So, for instance, the scene with the convenience store. Instead of fuck me, it was why me, and it sort of went on with that, and up to the point where
that's a great Dustin Hoffman impression, by the way.
Wheel of Fortune. When what's the horse? The chief, the sergeant.
Yes, yeah.
Reed.
Reed.
Yeah. He gets him to get this. The line is "Get this scumbag out of my sight" or something like that, and they changed scumbag to crumbag. Why? Why? It makes you wonder what else they would have done if they had a chance. Like when Dick says about about the old man, you don't shit on the way up, sort of thing. And he goes, once I even called him asshole. Once I even called him stupid. Yeah. So again, I know I've gone the long way around it. That was my introduction to Robocop. Loved it. Played it in the playground. Did the stupid walk. Made the stupid noises. You know. Silly little impressions.
Is it TJ or TZ laser or whatever? When he spins the gun, so you did the finger spin, like spins the
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, did all the mimicking stuff in the playground. Didn't get hurt on the playground playing that. But I'll remind me of this when we talk about when we get to do any of the Star Wars films. Well, I've got a scar above my eye. I'll tell you about that.
You weren't fighting in lava pits, were you?
I wasn't. No, this is way before the prequels. This one.
Wow.
It happened to be me being in an X-wing and trying to fight a brick wall. But
there you go, guys. What a teaser!
What a teaser! Yes. Stay tuned. Yeah. So yeah, that was it. And obviously, like they always seem to do in the 80s cartoon series based off almost inappropriate franchises. Like there was a Rambo cartoon series.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Rambo. The rumours that the Debbie Does Dallas TV series was in production, but that never made it.
Can you imagine? What's your favourite companion called, Debbie? That's my growler.
Brilliant.
But yes, this cartoon series. I think, and video shops then, because there was a movie time video shop. Before we didn't have Blockbuster at the time, so Dad used to go on a Saturday afternoon, go and choose 3 videos. Me and my 2 sisters. We get what we want because Dad would just get it for us. Yeah. So I think that's probably when I discovered the actual theatrical, edition
of Robocop.
Yeah. So thanks, guys, for those 10 minutes of your life that I've just it's telling you how I got into Robocop. Yeah. Grant, how did you get into Robocop?
Well, it's always nice to know where the magic starts. I think I saw some of the ITV cut, as I do remember, like watching that and thinking, "What the hell? What's happened?" Thinking it was almost some kind of parody. There's two things I can't differentiate which came first. I remember being at being at my grandma's house late on a Friday night, and I was sleeping over, and so my uncle at the time, obviously young guy, stuff, going out a lot, and he went out. He was going out, obviously staying out, meeting his girlfriend and stuff. And he said to me, he came in, he said see and stuff. And he said, "Oh, there's a good film on I think it was Channel 4." He says, "See, you ought to watch that." So I watched it, and I can remember sitting there on the bed and the Emil scene thinking, "Oh my God, please, whenever I die, don't go that way. I don't want to go that way." So I clearly remember that image stuck in my head. And also, there's the Robocop toy.
Yeah.
And I think I had Ed 209, and I believe that I had, those little strips that you got that I don't know whether I don't know whether you scraped them or put them in something that made like kind of a banging noise sensation.
Strips, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I do know what I'm talking about. I just don't know any terminology. What's this film called? So this police officer that's a robot. So I don't know whether. See, I remember him being regular size, and I think you could take his visor off as well. But I don't know whether like it came through like his chest or something, and so it made the noises for the gun or something like that. So I'm not sure. I think I believe I must have watched the film first, and because I remember having the RoboCop action figure and the Terminator 2 action figures. Again, the skin for the T800, and then the
I was a bit of a tangent, but I had the T1000, and it was the motorcycle cop.
Oh,
But it was in the film. It's just Robert Patrick with his motorcycle helmet on. But they made this sort of really wide, hefty fella.
Oh, right.
And you pulled his head down, and his arse flew up and fired missiles out of it. Obviously designed by someone who'd never seen Terminator 2 and didn't know that the T1000 couldn't make anything with moving parts or mechanical parts or anything. And it just that was it. It's just he flicked his head down, and his arse just shot straight at you.
Do you think that was one of the Skynet's failed production lines?
This is
a T900.
T900 Art Edition.
So, like pretty much we discussed for our Ghostbusters episode, when do you think you were able to watch the film and appreciate it for everything that's good about it, basically?
I think, obviously, like at a younger age, you don't quite get the satire.
No.
You don't sort of appreciate that side of things. At a certain age, you're sort of just watching this really awesome like sci-fi action movie. And then you sort of, I think you get a little bit older, you appreciate probably the aesthetic and the gore and the the hyper violence, if you like that sort of thing. Well, people don't. And the acting and everything that goes with the special effects work in it. I don't think it's until I was probably mid-teens I sort of getting the whole satire thing, and so it was like corporate America at the time, and everything. It was still relevant today, I think. Everything that's going on in Robocop. And they predicted Detroit going bankrupt like that 7 years. So, it is. It is one of those things. I think it's, and even though it's like the future of, it's not the future of 1987. It's not even a distant future really, because I think in the novelization or somewhere in that, like, they said it was like, because Ed Newmeyer.
Yes,
He never gave it a date. People have been asking him whether it was an alternate 1987 or whatever. Yeah. He says, "No, I never worried about it." But I think in the novel, they gave it like 2043.
Yeah,
like and I think it's supposed to be set over a couple of months. Obviously, like talk about Delta City going forward in 6 months, and then later on, Clarence says, in 2 months, you're gonna have all these work to do and stuff like that. So it's set over a couple of months. There's little nuances, a little bits and stuff you don't sort of tend to really click on. I think it takes a few watches as you grow older to really appreciate everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think to fully appreciate it, I think sort of in my teens when you're looking for that bit more, and I think then going to film school, do film studies and stuff like that, you're pushed into that way of thinking, aren't you?
Of course you are, yeah.
Stuff you don't want to look at, you're made to, Gilda, stuff like that. you still look at and use critically, try and get your critical eye on. So I think you revisit stuff you loved as a kid. So does it hold up still, even if it doesn't? But Robocop does to me. Watched it last night for this show.
Yeah.
I can't find fault with it at all.
No, because I will never criticize special effects that at the time were fantastic, and now it's like going to your wife when you're both 70 years old and going, "You don't look as pretty as you did when you were 25." I mean, it's like, yeah, no shit, neither do I. So
as you put a pillow over her face.
Yeah. Just naming up my wife. I just don't want any beatings. So I'd never do that. I'd have to agree with you on that. I think it's one of those films that each time you watch it, you find a little something else about it, some little clever kind of nuance. Like you said earlier, the scene with Ronnie Cox and it's Miguel Ferrer when he says I called him asshole. That scene, it's almost that scene just sticks in my mind because it is almost like a parody itself. It's almost like the characters and actors are in on the joke that this film is ultra violent, and the main story of Robocop, Murphy, and everything is like such a sad tale, and so, like you said, so violent in the extreme, and I mean, even the bit which again stuck out for me. I watched it a couple of days ago, where he awakens, and they've obviously they've kind of restored some kind of like something to his, like, whatever's left of his head, his face, whatever, and they come in and he says, lose the arm. We've kept the arm, lose it. We don't want any of it. And it's just like, this guy's like a piece of trash to them. It's like he is a product, and like you said, it goes back to corporate America and consumerism, like, you know, off the scale and things like that. But it is just those little things that it's just full of, and it's like the satire moments, the news breaks that happen in it, and you know, what a way to world build as well. And also, I believe that they did do that so they could eventually get an R rating as well. I don't know if you've seen anything of that. I think did it take 6 times for them to get the classification they wanted?
I think
that's crazy. But it's just I think it just, again, I mean, I don't like to use the term lightning in a bottle because I reserve that for films like Ghostbusters and stuff like that. But Robocop was it's like, I love it because the name, it's unashamedly Robocop. That could sound like anything. It could sound like a kid, like you said, like like just a toy line for.
Well,
and it is.
It reminds me that there was, sorry to interrupt, but it reminds me of really cheap action figures you get at the seaside.
Yeah.
Like for £1 that are supposed to look like something familiar.
Yeah.
Like you have like a Rambo, but he's got a big porn tash. This is one I had actually, had a big porno tash. And I think it was called Mambo.
I was going to say, was it number 5?
Something stupid like that, you know. It just, but yeah, Robocop just seems so daft.
But it's so good because it is a product, and what better way to call a product and sell it than Robocop, something memorable and easy and stuff. And I love that the film doesn't call itself like the 3 Directive or Murphy's Law or anything like that. It doesn't.
You can imagine like corporate America going, right, he's a robot, he's a cop. Ooh.
Oh God! Oh, if only he was a hobo as well, we could have all
Robocop. Fights crime, it smells.
Yeah. So, what about the cast then, Dan? What about the cast? We have I would say Paul Weller. Then it's that's the alternate cast in there. So we have Peter Weller,
Peter Weller,
yeah.
Who was
lost £3 of water a day wearing that suit.
Well, this is the great thing, wasn't it? Because the studio wanted someone bigger. They wanted, they were looking at Schwarzenegger. I think they looked at Michael Ironside as well, and they were all actors who were big and bulky actors. And they said, although everyone was like, well, they're just not going to they're going to look ridiculous in a big bulky suit. So they went for an actor who was skinny and not overly, not well, 5'10" is not small, but it's not.
Yes, it's not imposing, is it? It's regular. So
that's what they went for, and they, and you know, bless him, because it worked. You believe it. So his introduction is Murphy. You're straight there with him. You know, he's transferred from, I think they said, Metro South, which is supposed to be a really nice precinct. He wants to be where the action is. He wants to do some good. So you can't help but like him for that. He's a family man, and he talks about his son first and foremost. Just like you said, the lazy guy thing. They're twirling a gun. He's doing it because it's his kid's favourite show. He's just an all-round, thoroughly bloody nice bloke.
He is. Great hair as well.
Oh yeah, fantastic. Yeah. But he plays it so well, and then he's so committed to what's going off with his transformation as Robocop as well.
Yeah.
And there's all that stuff behind the scenes about the suit went through all these different design changes, so it was late for production for 3 weeks. So they'd already, him and I can't remember the name of the chap who did the motion work for them.
Oh.
But they'd worked out this very fluid Zen sort of movement to all Robocop's moves, and just put the suit on and couldn't move.
Yeah.
I almost down production when it turned up, because I was looking into the whole thing about the suit, and it was Rob Bottin had been asked to come on board because of his work on the thing, which is available on our channel right now.
Episode 2.
And they went with him for his designs, and his basic design for Robocop was what they eventually went back round to after all these different changes. That's what caused the big delay, but they'd been working with this whole sort of fluid motion, and it nearly shut down production because Peter Wells was like, I can't do this, I can't work in this suit.
Yeah.
It's not, it's ridiculous. And thank God he stuck it out, because they dropped him for some. Rutger Hauer was another name that they were floating about. As much as I love Rutger Hauer, I think Robocop, even though this the top half of his face is hidden, all the acting's done in his, all sort of later on, all his emoting's done through his mouth and everything. I don't think anyone could have pulled it off as because I can't see anyone else. And that's why it's difficult. So with Robocop 3. Is it Robert John Burke or Robert John Burke? I can't remember which way around it is.
Yeah. Is it Robert John? Yeah.
And then I said it earlier. Joel Kinnaman.
In the 2014 version. Yeah.
It's just they're not Murphy. You go back to the TV series, and it's because of Peter Weller. It elevates it. I mean, it's a great film anyway, but his performance elevates that. It's such a good performance. He works a lot when he's not got much to. He's static. His body's static. Through all those sort of jerky movements and everything. So he really has to put in his all, and you have to have that believability in him. Yeah. And when you get those emotional beats, the bit I love the scene where he goes back to his house. When he finds his address, and he does. I mean, some of my friends used to laugh about it because he does that, sort of angry pouty face. Yeah. That's all he's got to go on. This machine's just realised he was once a person that had a family.
I agree. I really like that, and I can see why some people may be taken aback by that. But I think we've got to remember that he's. This guy, are they expecting an actor to do the movements, or are they expecting the character, which is not even a shell of a man? Yeah. So when his slow movement is cumbersome, his speech is like you said, he's very over the top, like when he's emoting, isn't he? Is like his facial expressions, and like you said, off a face. So I think I believe that. I don't even question that. I think that's I think that to me makes it more tragic. Like I said, I can see some people maybe are taken aback by that, or laugh at it, or take the piss a bit. But actually, I think that adds to the pity that you feel for him, the sadness of it. He can't even react as a human being. He can't break down and cry. He, is like when he first comes into the precinct and he catches the keys and things. It's a very cool shot how to do it, and I know it took all day to film that shot. But you every time I watch it, I always think he catches that because it would be such a ball ache for a robot to turn around just for some keys. So it's like his awareness and his programming can predict where the keys are going, and it's just like I'll grab that, and obviously that's for the shot. But I just feel that all his movement and all his facial expressions, it's just adds to the tragedy of his character.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And what a tragedy! It's not just he's not sort of taken. He's not taken out in a one shot.
I think his death probably is one of the. It's probably only topped by the Emil thing for me, and maybe that's just because as a kid. But I think when you look back on it as maybe an adult, I think it is more, obviously it's far more tragic. It's not as disgusting maybe as that, but it is still really not very nice way to go. And the fact that you've got these almost like laughing hyenas, taking pleasure in every bit of blood that's been spilt. And so I don't know if you want to just have what your initial thoughts are when you either first saw it or even watching it back now. Does it still get you as much as it did?
Yeah. It's. I mean, I'm a bit of a go around. I don't mind a bit of splatter and stuff like that, but it's. I think being a lot younger, it can almost be uncomfortable watch to some extent because, like you said, they're taking so much pleasure in it, and it's not just like it's not just a little bit of a beating that he has. It's the first thing they do is shoot his hand off, and it's there. His hand explodes.
Yeah, it's a shotgun, isn't it, that they use on him? It's not just a pistol.
Camera, and then the way it's just they're blowing chunks off him.
It's the way to me that where they allow him to get back to his feet before opening fire again on him. I think it's just.
It's almost like when Clarence comes along and shoots him in the head. It's just like he's not sort of saying, "Well, I've had enough of this." It's almost like he's bored of that now.
Yeah,
and that's how it comes across. It's not like he's ending. There's no mercy for Murphy. It's not.
No.
For Murphy's benefit, it's just like I've got better things to do. This is taking all day. Anyone else would have died by now, and that's the strength in Murphy's character. Follow the POV shots into the hospital. That they're trying to save him. Obviously, to that point, they're intubating him, so he's still alive.
Yeah,
that's the thing about it. He's such a strong-willed character. It's all his thoughts go back to his saying goodbye to his wife and his kid.
Yeah,
all that. That's all going on in his head. But you're there with him. You're him. For the ambulance riding to him being switched on as Robocop.
Yeah,
it's a great way to introduce him. To say goodbye to Murphy, but introduce
Robocop. Yeah,
it's very well done.
And I think the it is a puppet that they use for the as it pans around him when he's on his I think that's brilliant work.
Another Botine.
Yeah.
Sculpture. I think coming off the stuff what he did on the Thing, which we were speaking quite at length about Rob Botine in the Thing podcast. But you can't fault his work.
No.
It's no wonder he got hired off of what he did.
No, it's a perfect effect for me. So what about the rest of the cast then? Because I do look at this and think, I like the fact that you've got it's Nancy Allen, isn't it, as Lewis, his partner, and I like listening to Paul Verhoeven, the director. He wanted to not have anything take the shine off the story or Robocop himself, so he made a cut her hair, made her introduction so you wouldn't see whether gave her like an ambiguous name like Lewis. So we didn't know whether it was a first name, a last name, a boy or a girl. So and they tried to like they said they wanted to desexualize her almost. They didn't want anybody thinking it could be a romantic partner for Murphy or anything. And I enjoyed that. That was very clever.
It was especially because Nancy Allen was famed for doing sort of like romance, sort of romantic comedy type things in films before. And the first scene, her introduction, is she's kicking the shit out of that perp.
Yeah.
And that again, it's just she's here. This is Lewis. She's a strong. We don't need to worry about her being a strong female character. She's a strong character. That's that's who she is.
That's it. Yeah, exactly.
And it's all her inquisitive mind as well after the fact. As soon as she realizes who Robocop really is, and she doesn't go out of her way to go, "What the fuck have you done? What have you done to Murphy?" All that stuff. She's inquisitive, but she doesn't seem to want to upset the system either. But then she's there. She's still there for her partner when shit hits the fan.
Yeah. Such a undervalued character sometimes, maybe maybe that's because if I can get my words out, that's because we have so many good characters and so many great character actors in the film as well. Like Ronnie Cox. Let's talk a little bit about him. I mean, I know Ronnie Cox from obviously Robocop was the first thing I saw him in. And then I saw him later in Stargate series, and he was a bastard, which is an extension, seems to be, of Dick Jones. But before that, he was cast as nice guy roles, if I'm not mistaken. So that was another very clever move by Verhoeven.
Him and Kurtwood Smith both the nice guy roles, cast against type, which adds credence to their character. But I think it's the believability. If they just come across, and I know they said about this with Miguel Ferrer about Bob Morton as well. Sorry to just sort of
no, perfect. But I was going to speak about next anyway, so that's great. Yeah,
they've written his role as a complete twat, It was a nasty piece of work. But Miguel Ferrer came along, and they were like, actually, he's quite charming, so let's have him as an up and coming, little sort of weasel. But you still feel a bit sorry for him when he gets.
You almost like want to root for it. He's like the lesser of all the evil that's going off in the place.
Yeah, they're all out for they're all out for each other. I think, and that comes to head when Mr. Kinney gets blown to smithereens. Is that no one seems, other than the people are more afraid of what might happen to them with 209's malfunction and everything. But
doesn't Morton even say it's life in the big city?
Yeah. I think what a prick. What a prick. But yeah, Ronnie Cox, he's brilliant, and he's so well suited to that role. It's amazing that he didn't play Bastards before, because he does it so well.
So well, yeah. Obviously, he's the villain in is it Verhoeven again in Total Recall? Yeah.
Copenhagen.
And then I did mention the TV series Stargate SG-1, where he plays one of the most corrupt senators, and he's probably only like 5 or 6 episodes, but spread out throughout. Obviously, its run, and he was an arsehole. Again, it feels just such an extension of those previous 2 characters. So yeah, it's incredible to think that it was his first time being a bit of a dick. A lot of a dick. So, but yeah, Miguel Ferrer he's probably actually behind, obviously, your because you've got Clarence Bodico, who's fantastic and stuff. Yeah. He's probably my favourite supporting character, Miguel Ferrer. Yeah. He is. It's such a. I'm glad you mentioned it, because it could have been such a thankless role, but you feel so sorry for. I mean, I'm sure his death scene, he answers the door to Clarence, doesn't he? Expect it to be champagne delivery, and he's got 2. Are they prostitutes? Are they girls he just knows? And he's got drugs and alcohol and everything going off. And then you've seen what he's like reacting to people's deaths and just wanting to one up everybody at the company, having no respect for anybody. And you still feel sorry for him when he's shot in the knee, and you still want him to get that grade and be able to throw it out the window and survive. But yeah, he is. Did you ever see? Just sorry to a bit of a tangent, but did you ever see Stephen King's Night Flyer, the movie?
That's great.
He's like a journalist / photographer, isn't he? He's following what he believes to be a vampire around. I'm not doing it justice by saying that, but he's so good in the film. So
the majority of that film, it's him by himself, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he holds it perfectly.
Yeah. Oh, he's very charismatic. He's very interesting to watch. So, and his buddy Johnson. Best thumb in cinema.
Oh, he's great as well. He is really cool. Yeah. But Kurtwood Smith is phenomenal as Clarence. And
he ad-libbed a lot, didn't he?
Yeah, they were saying that they sort of let him run through it. It was the whole thing with the spitting blood on the desk.
Yeah.
And saying, was he saying, like, where's my fucking phone call? And that was all ad-libbed. There was, I think Paul Verhoeven was saying that the reason they gave him those round rimmed glasses was because Verhoeven was a Holocaust survivor.
Yeah.
And the type of glasses that Himmel used to wear.
So I think I've heard that. Yeah, no, it's perfect. And do you think casting somebody, like you said, like with Ronnie Cox, 2 people against type, that kind of like the actors themselves may have felt that they had something to prove. So again, it just elevates their performance that tiny bit more.
Yeah, because I'd say look at Robin Williams in Insomnia.
Yeah.
And 1 Hour Photo.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. Anyone who sort of moves, especially, Tom Hanks has made a brilliant career out of swapping from comedic roles to dramatic roles, and he's one of those people regard him as one of the finest actors of our time. And so I think if people are willing to take challenges, I remember another tangent, but I remember when Chris Nolan announced that they cast Heath Ledger as the Joker. I was like, really? The guy out of 10 Things I Hate About You? What?
Yeah.
But I think you have to sort of trust if they're going for him, which is sort of like a proper left field option.
Yeah.
They must be doing something special, because it wasn't a gimmick. Heath Ledger's it wasn't a gimmick. It wasn't
not at all.
the pretty boy. You won't cast a pretty boy as the Joker. So I think anytime someone takes a chance on that, you think, well, obviously they've seen something special in them.
Yeah.
And Kurtwood Smith is a complete and utter shite.
He is. Yeah, he is. Absolutely.
Yeah. And again, he sort of rebels in it. But he's wanted, when you look at his list of felonies, when Murphy's, and he's done some really fucking horrible things.
Yeah.
But he just swaggers around, doesn't he? He's not, broad daylight. He's not.
Well, doesn't he get the cannon? After his one phone call and everything, and he goes to see Dick Jones. He gets the cannon out of the car, and then he ends. He's just in the middle of. I think they're parked up outside a few stores, and he just pulls out the cannon and fires a prototype cannon and blows up the car that's a copy of his. Doesn't give a shit, does he?
But like later on, when he goes to see Dick about stopping Robocop, and because he gives his confession, doesn't he?
Yeah, because he records it, doesn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, I remember someone saying about that they were a bit worried about how the police would react being portrayed in any kind of light in Robocop, and then they took a load of them to see Robocop, and when Clarence gets thrown through that window, apparently they all started cheering.
That's brilliant. And it is a film that I'm sorry to interject there, but it is a film I really love because I think me and you maybe have the same school of thought that a film, depending on the genre, of course, is only as good as its bad guy, which you look at like Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves and Die Hard, the same bad guy, Alan Rickman, brilliant, and again elevates the film, and it's almost a shame sometimes to see them go. And same with these guys, they are brilliant and so fun to watch, and they are a bunch of bastards. Because of what's happened to Murphy and this journey that we go along with him, that we cannot wait to see him shove that spike through his throat, even though how much fun they look like they're having. So it's
well, that's the thing, because towards that final scene, Murphy's got nothing left. He's completely trapped under all that scrap metal. Lewis is shut up. And you get that lovely bit where Ray Wise is in the control.
What a great actor!
And he's like, Clarence, we did it! Clarence, we did it! The thing explodes and turns around, and Lewis is there on the last legs with that fucking cannon again. Jesus. But the whole that scene with the in the Coke factory.
Yeah.
And I mean, you've got Clarence and his cronies, which aren't there not that many of them that walk into that building. No. And I can't remember the character's name, but the guy who owns the Coke factory, and he's surrounded by his own henchmen.
Yeah.
But when they pull out the guns, as soon as Clarence says, I can't remember what all team it is. This is like they're playing tonight, and I never miss a game.
Yeah.
Even though the other guy thinks he's taking the piss with the offer that he's putting out on the table and everything, as soon as Clarence sort of threatens him, he's like, "Oh, hang on a minute, I've got to take this guy seriously."
Yeah.
He's threatened by him, and even though fair enough, he's got a couple of guns in his face, but in a shootout, his guys would completely slaughter Clarence's guys.
Yeah.
But he tells them to back off. So it makes it out as if it's a joke, and it's like, so again, just in those little moments, he commands the room.
Yeah.
I mean, so let's talk about that coat factory scene. I was just reading before we started recording that the reason it's so quick and it's full of action is because the prop guns that they were using would jam after 3 rounds being fired.
Oh, really?
A load of quick edits, a load of quick cuts. So that's why it originally wasn't supposed to be so like a big firefight.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but they put that in there because they had so much footage they couldn't use. So they did all choppy edits.
The magic of film, eh? But that is, I believe, is that the first time we hear the theme in full?
Oh, man.
Because I think we've heard it when he first goes.
When it first goes out,
he gets the guy who's the politician, I believe. He gets him when he's making the demands in an helicopter and everything, and then he stops the woman that the 2 guys are trying to sexually assault, and then so he does. That's his first venture out, isn't it, to the sea? But this is the first time all the awesome and iconic theme is played, and again, it just maybe again it was just meant to be, but those quick cuts that edit style and that theme together, and it's that first time you really feel that he can win, kind of thing, that you want him to get his hands and just crush his skull, or you want that like real him to get like that real act of violence back, because the film, I think it does bring out that like violent side of you. They're saying like, is it old Detroit as a cancer and the cancer's crime, and like you said, even like the rap sheets for all of these criminals, the horrific things they've done. So like everybody's involved in violence, and that's all this world is: violence and drugs and sex, and so when we see that, we like, obviously he's a cop and he's following his directives and he is supposed to be the good guy, but like, I mean, any other film throwing the perp through glass windows until his face is all bloodied, it's like it's incredible, and it does get the blood pumping when you sat there as a kid and you're thinking, fuck him up.
Shouldn't you be in bed? You're only 3. But that's the great thing about that scene, is that it's Murphy talk. It's, you know, that Murphy's sort of come back from the recesses of whatever's left of his mind and that, and so he's after Clarence for that reason, for killing him, essentially.
Yeah,
this person has just realised he was. And it ends there where he's crushing his throat, and even though Clarence does his big confession, and it's said by Dick Jones. Dick Jones, OCP. OCP was a cat. You're a cat. And it's like, he stops, doesn't he? It's like, I believe that even though he's going to kill him and he's angry at what's happened, but I still feel that when he says, yes, I am a cop, that's still Murphy.
Yeah,
comes
definitely.
Through. Murphy's a good guy at the end.
Yeah, I don't believe that's Robocop at all. I do believe, like you, I do believe that is, that's definitely Murphy. It's he was a role model for his kid, wasn't he?
Yeah. Absolutely. So I think that's those really nice little moments when Murphy does come back through, that you sort of, you're there with him again. And even Robocop's, even as a kid, Robocop's so cool and he's so awesome, and you might think, he might look better with his visor on.
yeah.
But you can't wait to see Murphy come back. The smirk at the end.
Yeah.
And it's those little moments when it's full on Murphy, when he's talking to Lewis, and you got those little. I mean, she's like, I bought you the baby food, and he goes, no thanks, I'm not hungry. And he's saying, my targeting's off. So there's nice little moments between those two. She's still helping him. He's not perfect. It's still, you can still get damaged in these bits. But then that last sort of line he gives to Lewis before he confronts Dick, when he says, they'll fix you, Lewis. They fix everything. It's so full on. It's just lovely. It's just great to see.
It is, because he's gone through the ringer, hasn't he, to put it mildly. And it's that justice you want to see. Like, you don't want to see the bad guys just being arrested. You don't even want to see him just being shot. You want to put him through the pain that he's been through. And we're talking about, it's a meal, isn't it? Which I forget the guy's name. He was in ER. X-Files. Yeah, I do. I've forgot his name. The bald guy, but he's even I watched it today and it still clouds my mind, because all I can remember of that is just the basically he gets covered in like acid, doesn't he, from like a vat's destroyed. So so he's then like starting to almost like melt away, and as he's kind of like, well, he's just in absolute agony, kind of this almost like walking blob, and then Clarence is driving by and just hits him, and then we just see him explode everywhere and the head bounce off the windshield. It's, as a kid, it's horrific.
Is it Leon, which is Ray Wise's character, is that right?
Oh yes, he finds him first, doesn't he?
He goes, help me. He's going, help me, get away from me.
Yes, Ray Wise is fantastic in that film. He's so comical.
Did you hear about Ray Wise with the explosions?
No.
He was caught in an explosion on set.
Oh.
And he ended up with glass in his face.
Oh god.
And they told him the insurance paid out. They said, obviously, they get part of, at the time anyway, they got something to do with, it's like part of the stunt because payment. Things go wrong, I get a payment. So he said that when he realised that, he whenever there was pyrotechnics on set, he'd always make sure he stand too close to them.
That's brilliant. I mean, his face almost looks fake and rubber. You know, when in the nightclub scene when he pulls him by his ear, like I've never known a man who can open his mouth so wide and elongate his face, apart from Jim Carrey.
Because really, it wasn't long after that he was in Twin Peaks.
Yeah,
and he looks different in Twin Peaks. He looks like what with traditional Ray Wise,
yeah.
special edition rubber face Ray Wise. But yeah, it's a weird thing.
Yeah, he really sells it well, doesn't it? Yeah. It's really brilliant. So we've got a great cast. What about the director, Paul Verhoeven?
Yeah. He'd done, I think, one. But everyone says that he didn't do it. That was his first American movie, but he did one. Something orange. I can't remember film history shit. But he was thrown the script. He said, this is bullshit. This is rubbish." And it was his wife who read it and went, "No, there's something in this." And he said before he's quite religiously minded, and it really, to him, it was the death and resurrection of Christ. That's the parallel that he saw in it.
So that would probably explain a little bit of Murphy's death being so not over dramatic in a bad way, but like him spread out, him coming back, the almost like symmetry of his hands having wounds, his head to finish it off. So that makes total sense then. Yeah,
he made his Jesus movie in
because we go through his death with him, don't we? It's not like we just see it. We are put like as from a camera, we see everything close up. We even track around him, don't we? We're almost on his shoulder there and we see his like shots, like you said. We're in his memory. We see close up shots of his face, little blood splatters, his eyes. So yeah, it's
it's just and it's so brave as well that everyone's come on, so he didn't understand certain things in the script because up to that point he was speaking mainly Dutch. He was speaking a lot of English. So when he didn't understand why enemies would call, or people who were not from the same racial background would call other people brother. It was a complete alien concept to him. He was having to have stuff like that explained to him in the script. But there's wonderful pictures that you can see. Like if you go online, there's one of when he's directing the scene we had 209. And they've got the model behind him, but obviously he's doing the actions for Ed to get all riled up. So obviously you don't see it, but this is a brilliant picture. And if you watch this on YouTube, I'll try and perfect this. If you just have to go and look for it on Google if you listen to us on Anchor or anything. But this picture he's going, and that's his directing. You imagine he's just going. But they say he's a very frantic director, and he's very, he likes to swear a lot and falls out with people. He turned around and said to Rob Bottin about the helmet removal scene.
Yeah.
And Rob Bottin says, "I want to film it in the dark because I don't want any effects to bleed through. I don't want people to know it's see any seams or anything." And Roven was like, no, we're going to shoot it in the lights. It's going to be in the lights. Midday, we're not changing everything tonight just to suit you. And they had a big falling out. And Robin turned around and says, "I'm never going to work with that man again." They went to the premiere. They were both awed how it came out. Vernon probably was like, "Yeah, I know what I'm on about." And Rob Bottin turned around and said, "That came out amazing." And Vernon went, "I'm making a film next called Total Recall. Do you want to work on it?" "Oh, yeah, great."
That's brilliant.
So, but yeah, there's no punches pulled. He's not afraid to put things right up there in cameras we've talked about before. And he sort of, it seems to, it's just the crew that he's got around him. I mean, it's effects work because not only you got Robo Team doing the special effects in the suit, but you got Phil Tippett doing the stop motion on Ed 209.
Did the stop motion for the dinosaur in the advert, didn't he, as well, that we get to see? Yeah, for the commercial between.
So there's a really good marriage.
Yeah.
Of teams there, and again, the music just. I think what Basil? What did we say? How are we going to try and pronounce it?
Basil Paul Doris. Yeah.
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 Who had done Conan before.
Yeah.
And it's such a beautiful theme. And it's not just the main Robocop theme, which is all sort of synthesizers and strings and pounding and and everything. But there's moments of real just calm and almost dreamlike music.
Yeah, I do. I agree. I think the film is going back to the Christ like themes and stuff. I feel that the film is told a lot through Murphy's eyes, and I think that the score and stuff reflects that a lot. Like you said, you do get those really quiet moments that allow you to kind of. It almost feels like it's empty because that's conveying what's inside of him now. There's nothing there, but it also gives you room, and again, eventually, like you said, you'll start to just quiet little piece play through here and there, and it lets you like it's kind of it doesn't tell you what to feel, but it kind of like just reminds you that something's going off, and it lets it breathe, lets you think about what's going off rather than like being manipulated into, oh, I feel sorry for me. It almost like lets the scene, lets like Weller's facial reactions and his movement convey the emotions that the characters feel, and you take it from that and that like adds to it rather than gives you those clues and hints and says, here you go, look at this guy, he's sad, look at him, you can tell he's sad, his acting is brilliant, but if it wasn't, it's like, well, you know what? If he was better, you'd feel sad. But here's this music anyway. It just lets him do the work, and it elevates his performance.
I think that's a really good point. I think that going back to the scene in the house again is when he's walking around and you get that sort of sweeping like, and he's getting sort of like the tragic music. But then when he thinks about his wife and his son, it almost goes really sort of like there's like a gentle dun, 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 sort of little beats. And then it ramps up when he sort of gets really, really fucked off, and it's all coming back to him. You get that. I call it like an elongated version of the main theme.
Yeah.
So you get that. And it's a great use of that theme because you've got the pumping. Yes, this is fuck out, it's Robocop. Yeah, go and get me, you bastard. But then this. When it's drawn out like that, it has a completely different connotation, even though it's the same piece of music. And I love that. I love that about that.
Yeah, it's like the main theme at regular pace is Robocop. It's the machine part, and then the thoughtful, like you said, elongated part is the Murphy part.
Yeah.
So again adds to the theme of two people in one body kind of thing, or a product and a man. So
I'd equate it to how I felt about the trailer for Rise of Skywalker and how they really drew out the main Star Wars theme.
Yeah.
I've never heard it in any other film, never heard it like that.
No,
It's sweeping, and it elongates that main theme. And they use it to manipulate how you feel.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's right used to that theme, being and again, it's a fanfare. It gets you going and everything. But to draw that out, draw those first notes out, it really makes you think that there's a swelling of it, especially if you, regardless of what you think about any of the Star Wars movie. But if you're a fan, and I would say regardless of what you feel about the last three or the last two leading into Rise of Skywalker, I find it difficult to find anyone watch that trailer who's a Star Wars fan and not have those heartstrings tugged. It's like the same moment. Yeah. The Force Awakens teaser came out and Han comes on the Falcon. It's that same effect, and it's played so well in Robocop with that.
Yeah,
just change it. Just dragging out those notes.
Yeah,
really emphasise that inner turmoil of because Murphy, he's got no identity up to that point.
No.
Well,
I mean, when Lewis finds him and asks him, she almost doesn't. Obviously, she recognizes it's Murphy, but like, how's she to know how much of Murphy's there? Is it him under the suit? Is it? She doesn't realize how little might be left of him. And she, when she's kind of tried to hint at him to go, yeah, I know you are. He's like, can I help you, officer?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There is nothing there, is there? Well, there is, as we know, like you said, in the recesses of his mind, there's some kind of spark still there. But yeah, there's nothing, and I think that the score emphasizes that really well.
Well, it's interesting because it comes straight after that dream sequence. That part, you get that sort of,
Yeah,
because he needs to rest. That's the thing. It's whether it's the same idea is that he's recharging his batteries. If that's as simple as his core's getting recharged, he's in that chair, he's at rest, but he's dreaming, and it's that bit that comes through that you see those little flashes of he's seeing his day, he's dreaming about his death, and the pain that he's in. There's such a, I don't know. There's a massive flux of pain and emotion. It's like he can't quite comprehend what's going on, and he bolts right up. And he walks out. He's on a mission. He's on an absolute mission after that point. But then, she stumps him, doesn't she? She's stumped by him. He doesn't know what to do. He's,
No, and you make a good point about the Twilight, the dream scene, because like how many of us have dreamt that we're either in like mortal danger or we're falling, and then we wake up with that jolt and that not knowing of what's gone off. So you take that just as we do in real life, like that kind of. I'm not saying you bolt right out of bed, but you like abruptly wake up and that fear or anxiety, then it lifts.
Yeah.
But then you've got that from somebody if they can actually feel that as well and remember like muscle memory of what's happened. But also there's been like he's not had that last part taken away from him, so he's not had that like safety measure there where his body's protected him. He's actually been through it and he's dead. So how's his mind and memory bank supposed to understand that?
So, yeah, because even to that point, we still don't know what's left of him. What you get a clear idea in the 2014 Robocop. He's a head,
and that is probably the most horrific scene. As in, it's not very nice to see the heroic character left to such a
it's a hand, lungs,
and
his head, isn't it? Whereas we only get. Morton says lose the arm, so we know he hasn't got his arms.
Yeah.
He says total. I thought we agreed on total body prosthesis. So you're left thinking, well, is he just a head? And then when the reveal comes that his face is grafted onto, it's like hooked onto the back of his robotic skull almost. Still his little bullet wound scar.
Yeah.
So what is left of Murphy? Because they make a point of saying he's got a very basic digestive system.
Yeah, like an infant's digestive system. Yeah.
So you could argue that might just be nutrition to keep his face going, to keep that.
So he's not looking like grey or
stop any rot or anything like that. But there's still no clear. They don't go into any detail, which I think is the horrific thing as well, because is that there must be. You could argue that there must be some portion of brain left. That's where Murphy resides for him to be able to dream and have these moments. But on what level does that interact with his CPU and because when they put the LED down, and everything. Nah, it's that sort of. I don't know if it's just the way they shoot it or anything, but they sort of like put the LED on, and it comes down because obviously it's your point of view, your robo at that point. So it comes down. So is that prior to the visor being put on? Is that going on underneath, and then they put the face on over the top? In what?
Yeah, in which order is it? Yeah.
It's the stuff on. They've just literally grafted a face on because they want a human face. So people aren't completely afraid.
Yeah.
The whole idea of using a cop. Again, there has to be something left because otherwise it'd just be another head, toe, and eye, wouldn't it?
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
So, if anyone knows who's listening to this, if anyone's read anything or seen anything or seen any schematics or anything, let us know. It's something I'd really like to know.
See, I thought, again, like Ghostbusters, I thought that it's a film that never needed a remake. But if they were to go down the remake route, I thought they may have concentrated more on like what is it? What makes a man when you take away most of the man to a machine, kind of like a soul, brain. skin tissue. Our are things just skin deep? Do we live on longer? And is that what Murphy is now in 1987 film? Is that is it electrical pulses from his brain, from anything? Like, they believe not. Obviously, they believe he shouldn't be having dreams, and he's just a donor, isn't he? His face and his body for whatever little bits they do use. But I see that's where I felt that the 2014 kind of film missed a trick, because a studio will always want a bankable name and a franchise and stuff like that. But I suppose they could have made, to me, like, again, I don't think nothing can top the film. Like you said, the satire, the violence, things that are still very relevant today. But one that I could sit and think, you know what, that's such an interesting take anyway, or it's such a nice little companion piece. Like, this is the film, this is Robocop, but then we did have this other kind of Robocop film that went more in depth about who he is, and I just felt they just missed a massive trick with that. And
the problem I had with the 2014, I don't know whether we'll do a 2014 review. I'm not sure if it's on the cards or what, but I think my problem with it was that Murphy wasn't likable from the outset.
No, and it was the first time I'd seen Joel Kinnaman in anything, and he'd come really highly regarded in some of his previous stuff that he'd done, and I've not seen he's got that show, hasn't he? That is it Altered Carbon or something, or Carbon? Yeah. I've not seen that yet. I've got that on my watch list, and apparently he's really good in that. But again, does that highlight the fact that he just wasn't the right choice for Robocop, and highlights how good of a choice Peter Weller was.
Yeah, I think that's the problem, because I started watching that film, and I think he's undercover at the start of the remake, and he just came across
as so unlikable as well.
Yeah, he just comes across as a bit of a prick. I was like, you know what? And when they throw that, I think they throw a bomb grenade under the car.
Yeah, like a car.
By that point,
I went, poor car.
No, when Murphy's death comes around in the original, you do feel sorry for you, feel bad, and you build up, even though it's only like 15 minutes into the film when he dies, or less than. They get it out of the way pretty quick. But you've already got to know him. You've got to, reasons why he should be alive, and his kids and everything. The remake, you just think, what a tosser. And then Grey goes under the car, you think, oh, thank God for that. And then when he does appear as Robocop, all he seems to do is sort of just he's more aware. Whereas they switch on like the inhibitors, don't they, to make it using, is it dopamine or something, to make him more controllable and everything,
because they give him the illusion of free will, don't they? That's to make him more amenable, that they feel that, so that it's like that drug that makes him think he's making the decision, so it hides that processing behind it, because they'll feel then they won't obviously get what's happening in the original Robocop, which is some kind of like reaction, or the human being coming through, and as we know, all human beings inherently want to be free and don't want to be trapped, so that they use those drugs on him to give him that illusion, so they're not left with that, which is again is it clever? Yeah, it's nice, but do that many people care about that? Is
interesting, but he's again, because it comes down to him when they wake him up essentially as Robocop. He's aware of who he was, and he's sort of panicked at what's happened to him pretty much straight away. So you don't get that discovery, you don't get that.
No.
That's you don't get Murphy's story. You just get some guy who, in the first 10 minutes, I decided was a bit of an arsehole, who's just an arsehole with a robo suit on.
Yeah.
So I lost interest pretty much straight away. And then they did that horrible CGI running through the rice fields.
Yeah, it was awful.
Yeah.
See, again, it had such a really good cast. We had Samuel L. Jackson doing the like parodies, news report, news break stuff. You had the fantastic Michael Keaton as the bad guy. Who's they've got? I forgot the guy's name. That's really bad of me. The guy who played Freddy Krueger in the 2010 remake of it. Yeah, it's great in as Rorschach in Watchmen. Yeah, so did have again a nice supporting cast, but and the fact is, like, I've to be honest, I've forgot. I need to probably give that a rewatch or not. But Gary Oldman, yeah.
Yeah,
So, like, but and I think you're right. But I don't like also wasn't the number one thing that came to my mind. I just felt that I didn't care.
yeah,
Like, in which you said because he's an arsehole or whether he's not, you just don't care. Like almost if we don't care enough and it's not portrayed as horrific, like why would you, as like the audience, you're thinking, well, fuck me, you're Superman now. Like you don't care about that. You don't care about if you don't care about his humanity, why do we? So we think you've had an upgrade. So whereas this is clearly your life is shit now and you're controlled in a machine, don't know who you are. So I think I think the 1987 film focuses on clearly what he's lost. Where to me, this just looks like look what he's got.
Yeah, I think I put two scenes together, two scenes that are very similar in the death respect. Is that you get the 2014 Robocop, where I'm sure it's a grenade that gets thrown under a car. It blows the car up. Monster Squad.
Yeah.
Same 87 as well, same year.
Yeah.
Dell's partner in the police car, dynamite
Yeah.
in the car. There's no competition who I feel more sorry for.
No, yeah, exactly.
Because he's the guy who turns around and goes, when they're investigating the mummy, I'm sorry, I'm going off on one again. It's like, movies don't get up off and he's like, well, I don't know who steal it. It is the security goes, did you steal it? No. Damn it.
That's a brilliant moment.
Worth a try. But that guy, he gets blown up. Niagara Falls.
But I just think that there's just nothing really left. The film's so well made. Like, what's the point of a remake? Like, I know, to me, it feels just like, oh, kids today. This is from a studio perspective. Kids today. Let's get RoboCop's name back out there, rather than like going. Let's give this a beautiful new transfer. Let's put it in cinemas like a limited release. Let's give it like maybe once or twice a day and have it like a real low price to try and get people in and introduce into them. They kind of go, well, let's just chuck a shitload of money at stuff where we know that we've got really passionate fans about. We're going to piss off all our audience anyway. And has this ever been worked or been successful anywhere?
Yeah, it's madness. I was hopeful for, and I feel a bit. Well, I try not to get my hopes up anymore about it, but the guy, I can't remember his name, who did District 9, Blomkamp.
Neil Blomkamp, yeah,
who did the really fascinating Alien sequel
treatment, didn't he, for that?
Treatment.
Yeah,
that was going to be the official Alien 3, and then he moved off of that. Well, he seemingly got kicked off by Ridley Scott, and then went and did what was going to be RoboCop Returns.
Yeah,
and that project seemed to be really coming together, and then that just got abandoned. And it was going to be, the idea was going to be in whatever form bring Peter Weller back, whether they just do a mocap sort of thing, have a stunt double do the movements in the suit and just mocap his face. A bit of continuation of his story and be more that he's obsolete now because technology has moved on 30 years into the future. It was 30 years from the future of RoboCop, so he becomes obsolete and finding his place in the world where his kid and his wife have gone and moved on and everything. And because of RoboCop 3, if they use that as canon, Lewis has died, and so he's on his own. Would have been if they'd done sort of a Logan style story, that'd have been a lot more interesting because it's a continuation of his character development.
Absolutely, and I think that's probably should have been the way to go rather than even when we talk about actors reprising the role, and Harrison Ford's name always seems to come up with Han Solo, you're fine, but with Indiana Jones, you're more action packed. You've not got a pistol, have you? And you've not got a ship. You're set in the grounded as an archaeologist, and people didn't really buy that. Although that wasn't my problem with Crystal Skull, I really actually liked Harrison Ford in that one. But with the technology and the character that you've got, he is, like you said, you only need his face. So and because like we're looking at something where it doesn't have to look like, oh my god, you can have a little bit of uncanny valley and accept that, because it's like you said, a skin graft on a machine. So, and it's obsolete now and maybe not quite kept up to date. So it'd be again another real, like a modern day Frankenstein kind of touch on it. So again, why did 2014? Why have we got to almost have somebody like Neil Blomkamp that wants to do all these projects that seems to be very like what the fans want, and will make studios a lot of money, and what he wants as a fan as well. Like studios would rather be like, no, fuck you, we don't want to make money and please people.
It's really unfortunate. It's just unfortunate.
He, if I'm not mistaken, he was signed on to do a adaptation of the Halo video game, and there was so much stuff had gone through like the development phase, working with Bungie, and like they were like happy to say you can take this design like so far, and there's certain designs we won't budge from. But they were really happy with him. There was like, we've got a guy here who really respects what we've written, and doesn't like look down our nose and think, oh no, well I'm a filmmaker, so I can take what you've done and elevate everything. More of, I like what you've done, so let's get it to a different medium. So if you imagine that Blomkamp's like that with everything else, which it looks like is with his Alien, with Robocop, why is this guy not getting things made? It's I know it's probably a question for another time, but it's like, to me it seems the exact way to continue Robocop. Like technology, like, is Robocop kind of one last hurrah because everything's electrical and on cloud now, where like sometimes being there and physical in form is does have its uses. So Robocop may actually still have a use. That'd be a lovely little story to bring through from first.
It would.
Yeah.
Who knows? I don't know what will come next, but
yeah,
just have to wait and see, I guess. We've always got the original to watch. That's we'll always have that, and that's the beauty of.
Yeah, that is absolutely. So your final thoughts, Dan. What like, I mean, we've spoken quite in length, and I think obviously we're both still in awe of the film, and like I said earlier, the only way I can describe it is it's just, there's just so much going off. It's in your face. It's so much going off, and when you do get round to watching it again, it's an absolute pleasure, because you forget little scenes, or you pick up on little nuances, little quirks, and things that are going off. So for me, it's just one of those films, again, looking at a younger generation, or completely disregard it for the name Robocop, but that's part of the genius, is the play on the, this is corporate America selling you a cop that's a robot, which I think, like I said to you before, maybe a lesser film would have played with a safer kind of title, but this all beautifully ties into it. And again, it's very much what Verhoeven, the satire work that he did in Starship Troopers, and
absolutely,
So
written by the same guy as well.
So to me, that I can't praise it highly enough. People can say like, oh yeah, it's definitely an 80s. So I do think it is a classic. And I feel that it doesn't feel trapped in that era as well. I do feel that it's still relevant today. And the story is, no matter about corporate America and about consumerism and stuff, I think that the film itself is a human tale.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's Murphy's story. And I think that's the story that I always resonates with me. Sorry. I mean, we've got that guy on the TV that I'd buy that for $1 kind of guy, and you remember all those kind of news reports and stuff, but it is Murphy's story that keeps people, I think, coming back to it.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're right. I can't say much more on what you said. I think you've really nailed on the head there, mate. I think it's timeless. It is a true classic. It's not just an 80s classic. I think it's timeless. And it's a film that you could be re-impressed by.
yes, re-impressed.
Yeah, be re-impressed.
Dressed to re-impress.
And I would happily, give it 5 out of 5.
Yeah, I think I would. I'd give it 5 rich teas out of 5. Yeah,
Absolutely,
definitely.
mate.
Yeah,
Definitely, mate.
yeah, I would say so. And there are two sequels, varying degrees of quality, and I would always say watch them again because you might pick little nice things out and stuff. But the original is, I just feel that if you're talking about classics, you're talking about like people talking about a good action film. I think people maybe underestimate that how violent and how gory this film is. From such a title that's so kind of in your face and in some regards could be quite cutesy. I feel that like people just need to watch it. I know obviously a lot of people that maybe listen to us will have seen the film.
Yeah.
But I'm talking more about maybe the generation that have only heard of 2014 or have thought, oh, Robocop, not kind of sure. Because like you said, we do have a few 80s films or 90s films that were 18 rated, and somehow amazingly always found like kind of like a target audience for toys, despite being nowhere near the age limit. So yeah, I would just say that it's even if you watched it that long ago and think, oh yeah, it was a good film. I guarantee that yes, using your line, people will be re-impressed by it, and I think that you will. Yeah, you'll definitely probably look back more fondly on it than people will remember after you've given it that second or third or eighth or 10th viewing.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Definitely.
Yeah. So so that's all things Robocop.
Yep.
So, well, I'd like to thank everybody for watching or listening, and we're on Spotify, Anchor, YouTube. So yeah, if you give us a like, a subscribe, if you enjoy what we do, we'd appreciate that. The links are on the screen anyway at the end for us. Yeah. So have you got anything to add there, Dan? Are you happy with that? Are you off to eat your baby food?
I have to see my baby. I'm going to try and get this gun out of my leg. My leg's jammed up. Take a screwdriver to it, see how far I get.
Oh, bless you. Well, I keep just getting Directive 5 flash up on my screen, so I've thought maybe, but what 5 is I have God knows. Eat more biscuits, I think.
Yeah. I've got some Biscoff somewhere.
Oh, you're
Just
dead.
Biscoff.
You're dead. No,
I am, mate. Yeah, going off. I'll see you in a bit.
Oh, good man. Well, thank you for watching. And as obviously your lovely kind of clue or tip last week, would you like to maybe give a bit of a clue before they see what's coming next week?
I'll say Treat Williams.
Oh.
Anthony Hansen.
Oh.
Tentacles.
Oh.
And that guy out of Silence of the Lambs.
Ooh, you know what? I can't wait to speak about Mississippi Burning. And on that note, guys, thank you for watching, listening, and I'll see you next week.
Yeah, see you later, guys. Thank you. Bye.